Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk about the nerdy news that you need to know about. It's the only news that matters. It's good news. We have a really eclectic bunch of stories today, so let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. Let's talk about them. Gentlemen, prepare your wallets, and ladies, prepare your wallets as well, because Hasbro Pulse are doing their Fan First Tuesday live stream next week, April 19th. They are going to be bringing the thunder. Apparently, we got that big tweet from Dan Yun saying, guys, it's going to be an expensive month, which is a little bit presumptuous of them, but let's see what they're actually going to bring. I think it's a safe bet we're going to see the Thor wave, because let's face it, we've all seen the Thor wave, so that's going to be a bit of a non-event, which is not their fault. Leaks get out, it happens, but I'm hoping we're going to get some other more exciting stuff. Will we finally see a real reveal of the Null figure, the Null 2-pack? That would be awesome. Are we going to get a release date for the Iron Spider, which we've already seen The Amazing hold in his hands and play around with? It exists, just when is it going to exist on our shelves? So I'm hoping that we're going to get some stuff that we haven't seen yet. So the Thor wave, that's kind of a given. But come on, Hasbro, bring the good times. And speaking of good times, of course, I will be live streaming the live stream, because that's one thing that I do sometimes find with the Hasbro Pulse events is they can go on a bit. They tend to like the sound of their own voices. I can't imagine what that's like. So if you want to have a bit more fun watching it, then you can watch me watch it. Just open up a couple of windows, have them side by side, and then you can watch them show the new action figures, and you can watch me go, mate, state of your action figures. So that'll be a good time. So join Hasbro Pulse and me on April 19th. It's going to be emotional. First up, Hiya Toys have shown images of their new Judge Anderson and Clegg figures. Now, these are the 1/18th scale, so it's not entirely my wheelhouse, but I still like to report on them because I think Judge Dredd is a wicked franchise, and I would like to see it a bit more mainstream. Also, it's so quintessentially British as well. Beautiful British comic book, that. British-made quality. Real British-made dystopian insanity. We're very good at that. And these figures, they look like a lot of fun. Again, a little bit smaller than I would like, but there's more news about the 1/12 scale ones coming as well, which is exciting. But first of all, with these ones, we've got Anderson, who looks like a decent, good sculpt, blonde hair, interesting sort of face. And when I say interesting face, I mean just, it looks like a real kind of like expression and not just like plastic doll type expression. Know what I mean? Look at some of my Marvel Legends and you'll know what I mean. Yeah, so Addison looks kind of cool. And then you've got Clegg, which is a bipedal crocodile. And that's just awesome. This seems to be the year for bipedal crocodiles with 5K's Leatherhead, or whatever they're calling it, the Croc Hunter. Yeah, it's a good time if you like your crocodile humanoid type characters. So these look kind of fun. They're going to be released at some point this year, but I didn't have the dates, or I didn't check the dates. I probably just fudged that. But still, they look kind of cool. And more excitingly, for me at least, Hiya have also announced that their 1/12 scale figures that are more in line with our 6-inch kind of ones, they are still on track. They're moving along at the pace that they're expecting, and therefore we should get some reveals coming up in the next month or two. And that's something that's got my attention. 3-0 have shown us more images of their 1/6 scale G.I. Joe's Firefly figure, and he looks really cool. He's going to be available for $169. I know Big Bad Toy Store are carrying him. There's also what came out previously, a Snake Eyes and Storm Shadows, and then with Roadblock as well. You're really getting a decent roster, basically. I'm really intrigued to see how far they're going to go. But Firefly looks very cool. He's got all the different pockets, attachments, grenades, weapons, and what I really like is a very cool, badass. I've got to get a thesaurus. I say cool so much. Cool and badass. But it's because I report on so much cool and badass stuff. That's why I say those. So yeah, he looks really awesome. Awesome's another one. So just enjoy the pictures. Check out what they've got going on. He's got magnetized parts as well, so you can clip grenades and things on him. That's a really nice little touch. So if you're over in the States and you want to pick him up, then check him out on Big Bad Toy Store. Tell them Dave sent you. They won't know who you're talking about. You can tell it's kind of a slow news day for action figures because I'm reporting on Jack's Sonic 2 playset type figure thing. And yeah, it is kind of a playset type figure thing. It's not even like a specific thing that we would normally cover. It's straight from the Sonic 2 movie, and it's kind of fun that you've got the Eggman robot and a little Super Sonic to go with it, but it's very much a kid's toy. I just wanted to cover it because I really enjoyed Sonic 2, and I like the fact that there's an Eggman figure, but also, like, look at that Eggman robot. That doesn't really look like it did in the film. I like just the color scheme and stuff, you know. So I'm like, it's kind of like, you know, even if I was like a 5-year-old kid, I'd get that and be like, thanks. You know, I'd be grateful because I was a lovely child, but I'd still think this does not look like what was in the film. And also, where's the rest of it? I know that would then be a huge figure, but I would kind of like to see a sort of smaller scale full robot Eggman. That would be pretty awesome. But again, this is just something. It's a little bit of Sonic merchandise, and I wanted to feature it because honestly, I'm grasping today. There's not a lot going on, but I really wanted to make a video, so that's what we're getting. I understand what cable news is like now when there's like a 24-hour news channel and they got to keep the content up. Man, no wonder they concoct stories out of nothing. But some more classic action figure type news. Hasbro have revealed images of their legacy Wild Rider and Blitzwing. Thank you, Philip and Leanne over at the Model Behaviour Facebook group for putting this information my way and educating me on Transformers, because I loved the movie from 1986, just wanted to clarify that, but then outside of that, my knowledge gets a bit spotty, especially with the different toy lines. I know it's all under the Hasbro umbrella, but you got so many different versions and iterations, it's kind of a minefield, but they are both very excited about these two releases, you pair of nerds. So first of all, there's, what's his name? Wild Rider. Totally knew that, just testing. And he is part of Menasor. We're going to get to that later. But he looks kind of cool. I like the fact that with this new modern day and age type technology that we have, we can actually get the robots looking good and the car modes looking good. Back in the 80s, you'd have a good vehicle mode, and then the robot mode would look like hot garbage. I mean, some of them, like Megatron and stuff, you're like, this doesn't look like the cartoon. That's why I like my non-transforming Transformers. I just want the cool robots. But now we're actually at the stage where we can have both, especially Blitzwing. Blitzwing was always a favorite of mine in the 80s. Triple changer, robot, tank, and fighter jet. That is just wicked. Come on down, Auto Brat. He's a cool character with a cool design. Again, I don't get Transformers, but I would be tempted to get him just because he looks so cool. But that's not all. Bring on the next story. Because Hasbro have also shown images of their new Motormaster. And who is Motormaster? Why, he is the leader of the Stunticons and the main component of Menasor. I love a good combiner. They're just big and badass. Probably one of my favorite Transformers is Predaking, mainly because he's called Predaking. That's just an awesome name. But Menasor is right up there. First of all, Motormaster is wicked because he looks like an evil Optimus Prime. That's just cool. It also means that probably back in the day they just wanted to reuse some molds. I'm fine with that because it's kind of wicked. He's not Optimus Prime's sort of double alter ego type thing. I'm pretty sure Prime could backhand him quite easily. That's what I love about Optimus Prime. Like, yeah, he's the noble good guy leader, but he's kind of a badass too. He'd have no time for that nonsense. But still, Motormaster himself is a really awesome character. Evil, mean, rough and tough Decepticon. And as I said, the leader of the Stunticons. So now that we've got Motormaster and also Wild Rider, we should be getting the other components to make Menasor. And what's kind of cool with this figure is that Motormaster is the cab of the truck. And then the trailer is actually going to be able to transform to form like the skeleton that you can attach the different combiners to make Menasor. And from what I've been told from my little spies on the inside, this is one that's highly anticipated. I don't really care, I'm not into Transformers. Bunch of nerds. NECA have shown some more images of their Defenders of the Earth Garax figure. I covered this original line a few episodes ago, and this is just some more photos to go with it, just to show you what this Garax character looks like. He looks kind of cool with the big arm gun attachment sort of thing. I'm not a massive Defenders of the Earth type person, and whenever I cover them on Good News, no one really seems to comment, so I'm guessing that this is definitely one of the lesser known properties because it doesn't generate a lot of buzz. But still, he looks kind of fun, and I think there's obviously a big market for them. Otherwise, NECA wouldn't be making them because these things cost a lot of money. And one thing we know is that action figure companies, they don't like taking risks. So the market is out there, and when he eventually hits store shelves, I think he's going to make a lot of people happy. Another story brought to you by Leanne from our Facebook group. Thank you very much, my dear. Joy Toy have shown images of their Imperial Fists Space Marine line. Yes. I know what Warhammer is. I know I just got ran out of words. Words are hard. You know what I'm saying. It's another battalion of Space Marines, and they look really cool. Joy Toy, they really know what they're doing. It's 1/18th scale again, so a little smaller than I would go for. But still, if you're into your Warhammer and you want like definitive, awesome versions, this is one to go for. I mean, McFarlane are wicked, but they're like 7-inch scale, which is good, but also I find they can start to lack detail a bit because it's like there's only so much paint and detail, and then the bigger you make them, the more it gets stretched out and they don't look so impressive. I found that with like the giant mech orcs. I was looking at them like, it doesn't look as good as actually some of the smaller figures do. Whereas these, because they are small, then it's all this little paint and nuance and detail compacted down into this really cool, distilled, awesome looking figure. So if you don't mind the 1/18th scale, then these might be for you. Now we're going to go away from action figures because I told you there wasn't a lot of action figure news. But I wanted to show you an image of Optimus Prime from the new Transformers Beast Wars movie. Can't remember what it's called. Beast something or other. Beast Kingdom? Rise of the Beasts. Beastie Beasts is what it's called. It's the new Transformers movie. Number 7 now, I think, which is bonkers. But there is a school folder with Optimus Prime on the front in classic Optimus Prime mode. So I guess he's going to start the movie in classic G1 style Optimus Prime, which finally, the movies have got right. I mean, Bumblebee fixed so many wrongs. You know at the start of Star Wars Episode 7, where the guy says, "This should start to set things right." And it was a really obvious nod to like, we're going to make a film that fixes all the nonsense. That didn't actually turn out, but Bumblebee, they could have had that line because so far it's done exactly that. It could have been like Optimus Prime saying, "This will fix the Michael Bay nonsense." And it looks like it has. The designs were really great, just realistic interpretations of the awesome G1 figures, and Optimus Prime looks perfect. It's just one image, but come on, it's very cool. So I'm intrigued to see how and why they take on their beast forms. It's going to be interesting, and I'm all in, and judging by this art, it's going to look really pretty. The Sony Studios Kraven the Hunter movie is taking shape. Lord help us. So recently some footage was released onto the internet, well, leaked onto the internet, of a car chase being filmed in merry old England. Lucky they didn't bump into Stephen Grant and put us all out of our misery by running him over. You know what I mean, Governor? Call blimey. So we got to see Aaron Taylor-Johnson's stunt double riding on top of a speeding car as they raced through London. And actually it looked pretty cool. And I didn't even realise I haven't been keeping up that much because the Sony verse just makes me sad. But the cast is taking shape. So Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who played Quicksilver, that's kind of cool. He's got another comic book role as Kraven. And then let me read out the rest of the cast for you so far. We've got Russell Crowe in an unspecified role. So probably, I'm going to guess maybe Kraven's father. They might delve more into the Kraven family legacy. Then also we've got West Side Story's Ariana DeBose. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Apologies. But she's also going to be in the movie, most likely playing Calypso. And I really like the character of Calypso, so that's kind of cool. And then finally, we've got White Lotus star Fred Hetchinger. Yep, I'm going to go with that. And he is on tap to play Chameleon. So we're getting some familiar characters. I just have zero faith. I just got zero faith that Sony can make a good Spider-Verse movie at this point. 2 awful Venom movies and a somehow worse Morbius film, and we're building this franchise on top of that House of Sand. Nah, mate, no thanks. Although, I'm just going to be curious to see how this shapes up, because I'm guessing they're going to maybe go more of a Tarzan, Lord of the Apes type kind of vibe or something, because they can't just have Kraven, as he is as a Spider-Man villain, because he is a trophy hunter, which is kind of a douchebag thing to be. So if you're going to have a movie starring him, then he's going to have some redeeming good kind of side. So he can't just be the Kraven that we're familiar with, which then begs the question, why even bother at all? Certainly, why make a movie franchise based around Spider-Man's villains? But that's a video for another time. In the meantime, though, we can all sit back, relax, and see how Sony are going to completely fumble this one. Speaking of the Spider-Man movies, IGN had a fun little article where they identified all the different characters who appeared in the big cloud overhead at the end of No Way Home when the multiverses were merging. And I'm one of the people who was like, I've watched that a couple of times now. I can't see nothing. It just looks like blobs. And now I've realized, well, that's because they do just look like blobs. But some people are doing the whole Rorschach magic eye kind of thing where they're like, no, right, because if you squint, right, look at it from the side, upside down, back to front through a photochromic lens, you can totally see that that's a head the shape of Mysterio. Really? But IGN have done a fun article where they have tried to identify some characters that are more obvious than others, and I'm going to go through them because it's a fun exercise. So first of all, they had one that they identified as Kraven the Hunter, and I can kind of see that. You can argue that there's maybe a spear by the side being held there, so Kraven, I'm going to give that maybe a 7 out of 10 in plausibility. Then they went with either Doppelganger or Superior Spider-Man, because it looked like maybe there's a character with some like extra arms or some other appendages or something. It could have just been another Ultimate Universe Doc Ock, or it could have just been some swirly-whirly clouds. I would love it if someone from the special effects team came out and said like, look guys, we didn't put anyone in the clouds. They're just clouds. I don't know what you're looking at. But yeah, IGN thought Doppelganger or Superior. Let's go with that. Then one that might be a little bit more plausible is Scorpion. You can see there's the hint, the suggestion of the scorpion tail with the point, the pincers and whatnot. Alright, I'll give you that one, guys. If you say that's Scorpion, I can go with Scorpion. After that, there's the Black Cat, and honestly, this is kind of clutching at straws, I reckon. Come on, it's a mildly humanoid kind of figure, and now we really start to get into the weeds with this one, because we also have, apparently, Miles Morales, or Mysterio, or basically a humanoid figure with a head. Well, call it what you will. I don't think that's meant to be anyone, or if it is, well, good luck to you, because I can't distinguish anything there. Then we got the Rhino, and okay, I'll give you Rhino. There's kind of a hint of a horn going on there. I can see that. And then finally, they went for Madam Web, because it was a big blob, and that could have been a chair. Yeah, it could have been, or it could have just been a big blob. It was a fun little exercise, something that you can do to be like, I can kind of see a thing there, but honestly, no, I think that's more of an example of the power of suggestion than it is the realization that there are actually specific characters there. But hey, can you tell it's a slow news day? Alright, fight fans, on June 24th, Capcom are going to release their Capcom Fighting collection. This looks cool. I'm a 90's kid. I love my arcade Capcom fighters, and this has got a whole heck of a lot of them. So you can go and check out the trailer, but essentially if you like Street Fighter, Darkstalkers, and basically any other 2D fighter that Capcom released during the 90's, there's a pretty good chance you're going to find it on here. And it's going to be available for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, all the essentials, probably PC as well, I can't recall. But if you like this old art style, because for me it's the art style, it's the 2D pixel graphics, they're just so dang beautiful. I absolutely love those. So also I love getting maddeningly frustrated, so this is probably going to suit me down to the ground, because even though I love 2D beat-em-ups, I suck at 2D beat-em-ups. So I don't know, perhaps I'll enjoy it from afar, because again, I'm trying to be a little bit more thrifty, you know what I mean? But still, it's a fun little oddity to have a look at, and a great little nostalgic trip down memory lane. Stranger Things Season 4 is about to debut on Netflix. I think it's going to be next month. Either way, it's coming up, and they've released a trailer. It's kind of like a sizzle reel. Why am I explaining what a trailer is? You know what a trailer is. Yeah, okay, so there's a trailer for Stranger Things Series 4. And there's some cool looking imagery in there. Mainly, one thing that stood out to me was just some of the monster design. Like the big bad, I assume it's the big bad. It could just be some random Joe Schmo monster, but just think it looks pretty wicked. They're really going... One thing I do like about Stranger Things, because I'm not a huge Stranger Things fan, I get it, but it's just not massively for me. But their creature design, their monsters, their willingness to go ooky kooky and spooky and kind of scary, I respect that. And this hideous looking Hellraiser, Hellbeast kind of thing, yeah, that looks pretty awesome. If there's more like that kind of stuff in this series, I might have to check it out. In a fun little story, Karen Gillan, who played Nebula in the MCU, had a fun little Twitter exchange recently where she mentioned her biggest regret from filming Endgame. And honestly, someone who loves a good pun and in-joke, I can totally understand that. Someone suggested to her on Twitter, they said, "I am so disappointed in Karen Gillan during Endgame. She should have said Doctor Who when they were talking about time travel in media." Which is so true, because I mean, they referenced Hot Tub Time Machine, didn't they? And who was it that was in Hot Tub Time Machine? Was it Paul Rudd? Someone in Avengers was in Hot Tub Time Machine that was then referenced in Avengers. I love that little Inception universe breaking kind of thing. So Nebula mentioning Doctor Who, that would have been a fun little aside. And of course, Karen did actually reply saying, "Honestly, the fact that I didn't think of that while filming the scene haunts me." You know what, Karen? Don't feel bad. I would have been kicking myself too. In fact, just a couple of days ago, I was lucky enough to be on Toys with the Boys with Dave Wonder, and we were talking about my old wrestling career, and I said I was called David Windsor, and my finishing maneuver was the Texas Cloverleaf. And either Dave or Cincy said, "Oh, I bet you called it the Windsor Knot." And I was like, damn it. 20 years later, I should have called it the Windsor Knot. That would have made so much sense. So, yeah. I feel your pain, Karen. In fun bonkers silliness, the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. Actually, I shouldn't even call them that. They don't call themselves World Wrestling Entertainment. That's actually not their name. Kind of like KFC, it is just WWE. They've discovered a new way to end matches. It's brilliant. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. If you have two people in the ring and you don't want either one of them to lose, just turn out the lights. That's literally what they did on Raw last night. They had AJ Styles against Damian Priest, and halfway through the match, Damian Priest just kneels down and switches off the lights. And that's it. And then they go to commercial, and then they come back, and that's it. WWE, if you don't want either one of these guys to lose, then don't book them in a match with each other. I would often say like, oh, I wish the WWE would get better. And now, because we've got AEW and New Japan and all these other alternatives, I'm like, no, WWE, you keep doing you, because it's no end of nonsense for me to laugh at. It's just, never stop being stupid. A fun little bit of Dave news, Valarverse. So many people have been telling me, oh, you like G.I. Joes? Give Valarverse a try. And from my basic understanding, this is an independent toy line that has been set up by someone who used to work for G.I. Joe. So he's taken his expertise and probably a bunch of other people, and they've made Valarverse, which is basically not G.I. Joes, but kinda G.I. Joes. They certainly fit in alongside the new classifieds perfectly, and I've been seeing so many different examples of how cool they look. I have decided I'm gonna buy myself a Scarab, and I just hope this isn't the start of a new line. It might be though, because they look really good, but I particularly wanted a Scarab because I just thought this design with the bubble kind of helmet, it looked wicked. That could go in Cosmic Legions, that can go with my Cobras. I really wanted to get two because I thought they'd look so cool like flanking someone, but no. I also reminded myself that, well, that would also cost money, Dave. Just slow your roll a little bit, calibrate. So I'm very excited to get my first Valarverse figure coming in probably a couple of weeks because it's on pre-order. But the Scarab looks wicked, and when I get him, I'll be telling you what I think of him. And to wrap up this rather off-the-wall, random and bizarre episode of Good News, I just saw that someone on Instagram randomly posted some images from the Marvel Illustrated swimsuit issue from 1991, and man, it's a fun little time capsule to go back and take a look at. I don't think we would ever do this again these days, which is such a shame, because a little bit of random nonsense cheesecake, that's so much fun. And me being 11 when this thing came out, I still remember, and I still remember very sheepishly going to buy it, like, can I buy this, please? Like, am I allowed to buy this? And of course, I felt like everyone in the store was watching me buy this naughty magazine. And even 11-year-old Dave was like, oh, well, hello, Psylocke. Well, hello, Black Cat. Oh, well, hello, Gambit. Oh, no, we'll go with it. Oh, well, hello, Cable. Ah, this is opening up quite a few questions in my mind. So yeah, it's fun. In case, I'm sure that there are some people here that don't even know that this was a thing. Because, I mean, the swimsuit issues died out like very early 90s. I think they only maybe got one, maybe two more, and then Marvel were like, oh, we're gonna stop doing this. And I should start a campaign right now to bring back the weird, bizarre Marvel swimsuit issues. If that's a hill to die on, then maybe that's my destiny. And folks, that does it for Good News for today. And yes, that was a random, bizarre, and slightly off-the-wall episode. But hey, sometimes that's just how we roll here. So what did you think of the various stories and topics covered? Comment below, let me know. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, well, you know what you need to do. All you got to do is join the 6-1 Clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And if you want to go one step beyond in supporting the channel, helping me get these episodes out and do the editing and all that kind of jazz, then you can support the channel over at patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Toss a couple of bucks my way, and it really helps out the show. So guys, thank you very much, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.